Fabulous. So, hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar talking about using Jet reports to improve business reporting. So, the speaker today, myself, my name is Danusha Jolliffe. I'm the marketing manager here at T-Vision. Been here nearly 5 years, and now looking after the webinars that we run with our partners. And I'll be passing over shortly to Rob, who's a very experienced person talking about Jet and Insightsoftware. Been there since 2019. He's also got a lot of experience with NAV and Business Central, which is obviously what we deliver for our clients. And we've got a lot of clients who already use Jet reports, but I know that a number of you joining the call today want to learn a little bit more. Rob has experience with reporting and the BI solutions and helps with training, partner support, implementation. Have I missed anything out?
Nothing more to add.
Okay, wonderful. So what I'll be doing today is I'll be keeping an eye on the chat box and any questions that come in. So if you do want to know anything, just pop a message in there. And is it okay if I stop you, Rob, as you're going through, or would you like them all at the end?
That's entirely up to you. If you've got a quick question you want to ask during the webinar, that's fine.
Okay, cool. So I'll keep a note of those. Rob, over to you.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, everyone, and yeah, welcome to today's session. We will leave some space at the end, so feel free to ask any questions in the chat box. So I'll just be giving a quick introduction to Insightsoftware and also really what Jet Reports is. We'll run through a few slides with some examples and just touching on a couple of specific topics, particularly about report migration. For example, if you're using NAV at the moment and you want to migrate later to Business Central, the fact that you can just take your reports with you, and then we'll just touch on some of the scheduling and distribution capabilities, and we'll show a quick demonstration of that as well. So just first, a quick introduction. So Jet Reports is a software solution from Insightsoftware. Insightsoftware is a global organization with a lot of solutions for the office of the CFO. And just to give you some reassurance, about 17,000 of the 28,000 customers that you see listed on the left-hand side are existing Jet Reports customers, and this is identified as a flagship product for Insightsoftware moving forwards. Like I say, Insightsoftware has a number of different software solutions. The ones which are particularly focused towards Microsoft Dynamics are Jet Reports, which is what we're looking at today. But we also have Jet Analytics, which is a data warehouse automation product for business intelligence. For really, that more lends itself to doing some powerful analysis in Power BI. But also we have BizView, which is a planning, forecasting, and budgeting tool as well. So let's jump in with what is Jet Reports. So it's basically a advanced reporting solution that is designed and engineered directly in Microsoft Excel, and we have basically extended the functions inside Excel designed to pull information from your Dynamics ERP system live, and it's working very well in that direction, because if you export information from the ERP directly out to Excel, what you end up with is an unformatted set of data. It's disconnected from the data source. You can't refresh it or add really much to it. The only option that you've got, again, is just to re-export the data. So we're kind of pulling information as such from Dynamics. All of the design tools that you'll see are using like drag and drop tools, and we've got some wizards to help the process, as well as having a library of pre-built reports. So it means that business users can use this software pretty comfortably. So the way that Jet Reports is working is we have a Jet function wizard where you can just simply fill out some parameters, and this translates into an Excel-like formula. So this is a formula that is not native to Excel, but it looks and behaves very much in the same way. And when we execute a Jet report, we query the data source. Now, this can be either a direct connection to a SQL database, or it can be a connection to Business Central public cloud. And ultimately, once the report is executed, the result of the calculation is returned directly into Excel for us. The way that Jet Reports is licensed and sold is on a per user basis. Users can either be designers, so these are individuals that can actually put the definition of a JET report together and actually build the formulas. A viewer is somebody who can run and refresh a report that's already been designed, and a viewer typically would have an opportunity to specify some date filters or whatever has been built into the report. But also one nice thing is that we can share any Excel file that has been created with JET reports with anybody that just has Excel. So if you have a requirement, of course, normally companies have requirements to send their reports out to external parties like an accountant or an auditor, then you can quite easily do that with the solution. So some of the particular topics, and I think this is quite relevant in that now that a lot of new implementations of Business Central, customers generally speaking are choosing Microsoft's public cloud as the platform for running their ERP. There's huge growth in this area, but actually when ERPs are migrated to Microsoft's public cloud, we don't necessarily get access to the entire database, so all of the tables and fields. So JET has specific adapters which are designed either for NAV or Business Central, regardless of whether that is on-premise or public cloud. And this gives us entire access to the database, so any table, any field, and that includes any custom fields that T-Vision may well have added into your database for you. And also, if you're using an add-on solution, such as Bevica, the drink solution, all of the tables and fields for that solution would be immediately available. And the list of tables and fields that you see in our solution dynamically updates itself all of the time. So if you have something added to your database later on, then this will show up automatically. Without JET reports, unfortunately, again, there is a technical requirement, let's say, to expose any tables and fields for individual queries, and of course these have got to be paid for. It requires technical skills to write extensions to expose this information, and of course that's got to be maintained on an ongoing basis. So this is something quite important that that our adapters provide for, and of course uses ERP permissions. So when we execute a JET report, we actually enforce all of the same ERP permissions that you have got set up on a per user basis. So somebody can't, for example, execute a report and pull data from the ERP that they're not entitled to see. So it's very light touch in terms of the user to or the customers to set up, because you don't, for example, have to maintain a separate security model.
Rob?
So when it comes to, yes.
Sorry, a question just came in saying, so can a report be sent to anybody, or do they actually have to be set up within JET?
Yeah, so well, you've got the ability to send out a report, for example, by email. So that could be done manually, or it could be done via the scheduler. And yeah, so anybody effectively could be a recipient of a JET report. You have to be a licensed viewer in order to open up a report and to refresh the data against the live data source. But yeah, anybody can open up a report that was created with JET, just with having Excel, but not JET installed.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so when we talk about report portability, so and this is again a real kind of value add, and it can save a lot of consultancy work and time and effort when you come to, for example, upgrade your ERP. So if you're working on Dynamics NAV at the moment and you're looking later on to migrate to Business Central, the way that the JET reports are run and the way that the functions are built, the reports effectively are identical, and you can just take your reports with you, point the existing reports at your new data source, and the reports will continue to run exactly as they did before. That is the assumption that the table structure is the same between the old system and the new system, but in most cases, the database structure between NAV and Business Central is very, very consistent. So when we have available on our website a suite of reports that you can download, those reports are the same regardless of whether it's for NAV or Business Central. So all of the differences between the systems and the method of connectivity, that is all managed in our data sources and our adapters. So this is really what allows us to take the reports along with you when you upgrade the ERP. We were just mentioning scheduling or emailing out reports. So JET has got a powerful scheduler built in. This allows us to run individual reports or folders of reports. and to output the reports in a number of different formats like HTML or PDF, for example. We can batch schedule reports, so it might be the case that you've got the same sales report, but you want to loop through that report once per salesperson and distribute a version of that report to each salesperson, just relevant for their particular customers that they're responsible for. Email distribution is possible as well, and reports can also be scheduled based on certain business conditions being met. It's possible to transfer data from the actual report itself into the body of the email. So here, hopefully you can see this, but you'll see that there's a sales total inside the body of this report, which is actually a calculation that's coming from the Excel document itself. So there's quite a few opportunities that we've got in order to run and distribute reports. Okay, so I'm going to switch now just to go into the product, just to show some of the things that we've just spoken about. So I'm just going to flip across to Excel. And the first topic that we mentioned was the actual connectivity to the data source. So in the Jet ribbon, which is built into Excel, in the settings area, we've got available to us the data source and the company that we want to connect to. So this is the default company that will be connected to when we run a report. And in data source settings, for example, this is where we would come to set up a new connection. So I can show you very quickly an example of how we would connect to Business Central Public Cloud. And if I just select Business Central and Web Services Public Cloud, then what this will do is prompt Microsoft authentication. This will then ask me for some credentials to enter. So I've got a test domain here that I use, and if I just add password. And the nice thing about this is all of the other parameters are picked up from Azure Active Directory and entered for us in here. So exactly what you've seen is the setup on the Jet Excel side. On Business Central side, when you're working with public cloud, there is a small Jet Reports extension, like I showed you on the slide, to install. So that's just a one-off task that has to be done. And then you'll see here, for example, on the Web Service tab, all of the so this is actually my tenant ID, and you can see here already that I'm looking up into the companies that are available, and this will be the default company, and there's a couple of others there that are available. For the instances where you've got the let's say an on-premise database, so if I come back to the one that I had here already, we've got different methods to authenticate against the database, and then the connection, really you just specify the server, the database that you're connecting to, and again what the default company is. But really, once the connection is set up to your database or your data source, if it's Business Central Public Cloud, the look and feel of Jet Reports and how it operates is very much a similar experience. Okay, so next topic we spoke about, I think, was the extended fields. So I'm going to make a connection to the data source that I've got here, and I have added an extension to the customer table where I've added a non-standard field, which is one under my favorites list, which is called custom reward type. So I just want to use this as an example of how we can very quickly, and there's nothing that I've had to do in Jet to expose this information. This just shows up automatically if an extension has been added to the database. So where we are here now is the browser. So this is one of the drag and drop tools that I can use, and I can just select some fields in a particular order that I want them to show up in the report, and then just drag everything across into Excel, and then everything else is basically done for me. The formulas that are built, I'll just explain these quickly. This NL rows customer will actually produce one row for every single customer record down the page in a list format, and any headers, we're using standard Excel tools to format the actual report in terms of how we want the report to be styled, and this will be just controlled just by using standard Excel functionality. You'll see here that some of this is a little bit now squashed up because I've made it slightly bigger or wider. And you'll see at the top here that we've got this these fit keywords. So what happens is after we retrieve the information during the report execution from the data source, all of these columns will be resized to fit the information that is returned. So it always makes sure that your information is correctly displayed. So if I come back to Jet and go ahead and run this report, okay, this isn't the most comprehensive report in the world, but hopefully it gives you an idea as to the kind of experience as to how you can start to author reports pretty quickly with drag and drop tools. What I'd like to move on to next is just an example of a report that is, let's say, a bit more comprehensive. This is kind of one, if you like, that I made earlier. And this actually, instead of, yes, go ahead.
Very quick one. Someone's asked, what version of Jet reports are we using in this demo?
This demo, this is, just bear with me, there is one very recent version that I've not upgraded to yet. But if I just go about 21.3.21244.1 to be exact. So I think 21.4 is either out, or there could be a release that's out on top of this one. So, I mean, the version of Jet reports that you're running, everything is completely backwards compatible, to earlier versions. So, customers, for example, you can, if you're running Jet reports as an individual Excel add-in, you can actually run with different versions, if you like, in the same organization. So if you're looking to upgrade to the most recent version, recommendation would be to upgrade one machine to start with. Make sure that your critical reports run without any issue before rolling that upgrade out to everybody else. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this report is a classic income statement, but what I've done is actually added some commonly used Excel features to this. So one is the conditional formatting. So there's a rule in the operating expenses to add an exclamation mark if my expenses are more than 5% of my budget. And then I've added some of these grouping features here as well. So we're in design mode of this particular report, but the way that this report is designed is that the NL columns replicator here is going to basically copy these 5 columns across the page for how one set of columns per month that I specify in the date range when I execute the report. So this is really flexible because the reports that are built into NAV and Business Central are very, the layout and design of them is quite restrictive. They're kind of confined to the size of the page. So to have a lot of flexibility about the width of the report, for example, is something that you don't often get. So if I run this report, this particular report has been designed such that I can specify some report options. I can specify here, for example, a specific company and then a specific date range. So if I just put in here, for example, up until the 30th of June 2021, then I'm going to get 6 months worth of columns replicating across the page. The report initially will show collapsed, and then I can use I can either expand, for example, an individual month to show what the actuals and the budget and the variance percentage was. So all of this is in a summarized form like this, but what I could do is expand all of the columns to, okay, so now I'd have to scroll across the page, and I could expand all of the rows as well to show the detail. All of the functions and filters against the account numbers are in the same filtering format as you would find inside NAV or Business Central. And one key feature is the ability. So although we're working here in Excel, I've got the ability to drill down to the ERP, and what happens is the web client is launched. Exactly the same filters that I've specified on the report are displayed. And then here, what this allows me to do is to go and kind of find the entries that are associated with this, and I can go and look at the individual sales invoice that makes up this number. So having the connection, if you like, between Jet Reports and Business Central, or the same thing works with the Roll Tailor client, is really critical, because if a financial controller sees that we're over budget or something like that, you've got the ability to navigate straight away to the source system and go and find out exactly where any variances are coming from. Incidentally, for month-end processes, of course, we are pulling fresh data every single time that we run a report. So even if I post a journal in the ERP and then run the report straight afterwards, I'll just run this report again, but just putting a star here for my company filter. Then this pulls fresh data from the ERP. So any adjustments made during the month-end process, you can very simply just run and refresh the report, and you've got results here immediately according to what is in your source system. So because I specified then a star for the companies, you might notice at the bottom here I've now got a tab for each company. So this has allowed me to run in a single report execution a income statement for multiple companies in the same report execution. So again, this is something unique to Jet that you cannot do in the standard reports that you get with with Dynamics. When you log into a company with Microsoft Dynamics, you're restricted to running reports just on information about that one company. So if there are any customers on the call with multiple companies and legal entities, then Jet allows you to fix reports such that you can run a report based on multiple companies in the same report execution. Okay, and then one final thing to show just before we give chance for any questions. So if there's any questions, please obviously pop those into the chat. Just to take a very quick look at the scheduler. So I've set up a schedule which is for the same income statement that we just looked at. I'm just going to trigger this report to run now, so I can run the report on demand, or what I can do is set the report to run, for example, on a daily schedule or a weekly schedule or an hourly. It doesn't really matter, but there's lots of options there available to me. And this report is actually configured to be sent out to myself by email once the report has executed, and hopefully I should be able to show you that in a second. If I edit the definition of the scheduled job, if you just bear with me, it's just loading up now. You'll see here under the report section, I can schedule either a single report or a block of reports in a folder of reports. The email has just come in. You can check the time if you like. This is all genuine, 12:23, which is the time now. And then this is the text that's come in to the email address with the report attached, and this is the same information that I've got specified in the definition of this scheduled task job here. So under the schedule, we can I've just got this to be recurring once, so I just send the report out on demand, but there's a lot of options here into when that report is basically sent out. In addition, the reports get saved to an output directory, and it's possible to date and timestamp the reports as well, so you can save a new version every single day. For example, if that was your requirement. But commonly this is used obviously to send reports out. I think I mentioned earlier, you've got a number of options to save reports as like a PDF or a CSV file or an HTML file, for example. And of course that can come out to any number of recipients if the email address, for example, is an email distribution group. Okay, so I've tried to throw in a lot of information there. We've got resources on our website. If I just come back to this one here, getting started with Jet reports. So we've got a lot of resources here that point you in the correct direction. How you, for example, get connected to Business Central. Are we making a direct connection, or are we making a connection to web services with public cloud? So this walks you through the process of installing the Jet Reports extension and what you have to do in order to get connected to that in Excel. And in addition, on our website, we've got a library of pre-built reports that you can use to get yourselves up and running pretty quickly as well. Okay.
Actually, Rob, that was one of the questions as well. If you could just give a few examples of the reports that are included in that pack.
Yeah, I'm just going to go Jet Reports, sample reports. So if you just Google that, and then you can come to sample reports, Insightsoftware, and then I think this is filtered from before. So this is already filtered by Jet, for example. In the financial system, you can choose NAV and Business Central at the top, and then there's a possibility here as well to filter out the type of the role. So for example, if I was in finance, then this filters out all of the finance reports. So this kind of shows you everything that we've got available. We have reports that are available either for Jet reports plus also Jet analytics as well. So in total, there's probably about 100 pre-built report templates. You can access the design of those templates as well and make any adjustments that you want to them. So you can use these as some inspiration, if you like, or a starting point as to how you want to lay out your own report. But yeah, it's very easy to step into design mode, make any adjustments that you need, and every single report has got a tab that explains what the report is, how it works, and any adjustments that you may need to make in order for the report to work. But most of them you can run straight away out of the box.
We've also had a question if we could send that link out, so I can do that after the webinar ends, so I can send the link available.
For the sample reports, yeah, that's no problem at all, of course. Yeah.
We also had another question saying, is there a difference in functionality if a client is running an older version of NAV? So, you know, perhaps something as old as 2009, how far back does the functionality go? And is it different depending on what version of NAV you're on versus being on the latest version?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I mean, to be honest with you, there really is a very, very little difference. And, you know, like I say, the differences between the connections to the ERP is basically handled in the definition of the data source. All of the actual formulas are very, very consistent. I mean, there's a number of changes to the database, for example, and how information is stored and the type of database objects. I don't want to get, let's say, too technical, but the actual physical design of the report. So when you look at these reports here, for example, although there is a selector for NAV and Business Central, all of the reports work actually. So here, this TB report works for either Business Central or Dynamics NAV. So, I mean, you know, there isn't really a different version of the report that we make available depending on the version of NAV or BC that you've got. And that really is what allows you to take the reports with you when customers upgrade. So. Okay. And it cuts out a whole bunch of you know, time and consultancy work, and you know, reports can be quite a headache area when you're trying to undertake an ERP project at the same time. So I mean, it certainly is work that you can, if you like, do in advance in preparation for an ERP upgrade.
Cool, wonderful. That's it for the moment. Is anybody else, if you have any further questions, if you just pop them in the box just while we're chatting. We also had a question around currencies and where they are formatted. Is it within Business Central, or is it coming and being formatted in Excel directly? Again, that was what there we had the pound signs.
Yeah, like I don't know whether you spotted that, but if I go back to the report design, that is actually something that I specified just on the home screen, and I've formatted that as currency here. So any numerical information like this is stored inside the database as a decimal. So really what you would need to do is just format that just by using standard Excel tools. You've got either currency or like the accounting layout, you can just pick out the design that you want. But physically in the database, all of these values are just stored as decimal values.
Okay, I think that's it for questions for the moment. Thank you.
Okay, good. I think we're pretty much finished. So we're right on 1:30. So.
Yeah, if you just pop back to the PowerPoint deck.
Yeah.
And then we have the actions at the end. Can't miss out on those, Rob.
You can tell I'm not commercial.
So we do have, Jet do have an offer at the moment available to the 20th of December. If you'd like to know any more about that, then do get in touch with us here at T-Vision, and we can arrange a call with either yourself, Rob, or talk with one of our consultants. Do speak to your account manager, and if that's something that you might be interested in, to either change the numbers that you have or increase, etc. So yeah, so do take a look at that offer when the webinar on demand comes out. And then lastly, just to say thank you everyone for attending today. The webinar will be available on demand on our website, and as always we do send the link out after the event, and to the person who asked for the link, we'll include that as well in the general email just to get those sample reports for you. So thank you once again, Rob, for a great demo there. I'm sure that helped people further on their journey just to find out a little bit more, and we'll be in touch soon. Thank you so much.
No problems. Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.